We're gonna go here. We're gonna put it on Twitter. We're gonna put it on Facebook. And let's see how much boomer problems we have. All right. Okay. Hopefully the technology problems will be held to a minimum. This mic is getting a little annoying. It's been a while since the last stream was the Mueller report. I just wanted you all to know that Compound Media is going to be off the week of the 15th. So next week is on, and then the week after is off. So I might be doing some streams there. I'm going to wait a second until we get 100 people in here, and then I'm going to give you guys pick for Drag Race season 11. I'm 5 minutes from the end of this week's episode. I'm liking Evie a lot. I like Silky a lot. I think those are the two that and Plastique. Those are the three I think really have it. Yeah, so we're going to talk vintage clothes. I'll show you all the sweater. Relax, guy. We're just going to wait till there's 100 people here. I've got my vintage monster. So we'll talk in a second. And I've got news to talk about with some upcoming book stuff. I recorded 2 episodes of You're Welcome today, one of which is a surprise guest, which is really, really, really fun. One of which is Nick Searcy, who is going to be on in a few weeks. They really went well, both of them. I'm very, very excited. Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff coming up on the show. By the way, so one of the things I do on these streams, as you know, is I'll ask people for advice for guests. And there is one person who has been the hardest to book. And it's like not the biggest name at all. And that's Melissa Chen, excuse me. I have been like emailing her constantly, and she's been excited to do it, but I can't lock her down. Like, she just won't reply. So I don't know if that's not interest or if that's whatever, but it looks like it's not gonna happen. So sorry about that. It looked like I was close, but thanks for the suggestion, but I don't know what to do at this point. I mean, I've DM'd with her back and forth, and we've emailed back and forth, and nothing is happening. So it's just it's very weird. It's also weird, like in general, like with publishing and other stuff, like often people who are big names are much easy. Not that she's being difficult at all. I don't want to imply that. Are often much easier to deal with than people who aren't that big names. And people are busy too. So let's just be fair in that regard. But that's just someone who I'm surprised that that's the one who's been giving me the most headache in terms of getting someone locked in to do the show. Especially because I've had some like really great names on the show so far. I'm surprised we aren't up to 100 people yet. It's been 4 minutes. So we'll see what happens with that. Oh, it's Friday. It feels like Saturday because today was I didn't have a day off. I did 2 shows today. We're going to let me find out if we're still doing this. I think next weekend we're all supposed to be going to Providence. Let me just message the pals. Confirming next weekend is still a go. All right, so that is that. I'm still seeing 87. I hope you guys had fun this week with Nightshade, because now I'm at a point where I'm like, all right, my audience is big enough. They know me enough. You know, whenever you're doing something innovative, you kind of lose some of the marginal people. But if you have enough... Hey, Drew. How are you, buddy? Thank you so much. Whenever you have enough people that are the core fans, you can play to them. And if you drop, like Cernovich does this, he just gets like on Twitter, he'll like just say things that he knows will piss off marginal people. Because there's two models, right? There's the Big Bang Theory, which is get as big of an audience as you can. And there's my model, which is get the good people. And the people who are like neither here nor there, they're only going to be a cost. Or they're going to be a very little benefit. So if you want to shake them loose, that's like barnacles. That's perfectly fine, even though on net your audience is going to be smaller. So it's quality over quantity. So you guys are all quality with a few exceptions, and you know who you are. Okay, so hey Bradley, good to see you, buddy. Should I talk about the vintage stuff first, or should I give you guys the news about the book stuff? I'll give you guys the book stuff first because it just takes a second. Anyway, I already locked in Dave Rubin. I'm gonna be on May. Hey David, your picture always makes me smile because your kid looks so cute. When I was in LA last weekend, my friend had what's your favorite song from your music thread? My favorite? I mean, Hunter, the one I listed, the Maria McKee, was the one that moves me the most, I would say. I don't know. What do you mean my music thread? The other songs weren't my songs that I liked, So so last weekend when I was in LA, my friend has a baby, and she's just very, very, very cute. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to be on Ruben again on May 21st. It's really going to be awesome because there's a big difference between... if you're going to pass on messages from me to children, you're really making a big mistake. There's a big difference when you do a show. Oh, my screen's just gone crazy for some reason. When you do a show the first time and it's a big name like Dave, he doesn't know who you are. You kind of establish a rapport. You want to get your message out there. And that was, North Korea, which is an issue much more important than me, of course, and much more technical than me and my stupid views on anything. Second time, me and Dave are pals now. He knows I'm coming in to put on a show. And he's a comedian, of course, so we can have a lot more fun with it. I cannot wait. I have a lot of fun stuff planned. And he's a great, great guy, and we really get along. And it's just also really funny because there's all these Dave Rubin haters. And obviously it's a function that Dave is a lot... Do you look like Paul Hargis in that sweater? I don't know who Paul Hargis is. Let me look him up. Paul Hargis. Oh, geez, that's not a good thing. That's a bad thing. Oh, that's unfortunate. No, that's a shame. What are you going to do? Anyway, I love this sweater. So, and I want to thank... Oh, my screen freezing. I want to thank Matt Bigelow because he had to send me this sweater from Japan because they don't mail it to the U.S. So thanks to Matt for doing that, getting it shipped to his house and then getting shipped to mine. Anyway, so I was saying a lot of people hate Dave. Obviously, they hate him also because he'll have more haters because he's a much bigger audience than I have. So he's taking even more bullets than I am. But it's also kind of counterintuitive that you would think that people who are more abrasive or more aggressive, which I certainly am more than him, would have a lot more antagonism, even per capita. And I don't think I do. Maybe it's a function of people perceive it like people who are amiable as weak. I don't know. Say hi to Emma for us. Oh, Emma's a great name. Hello, Emma. That's an easy one. I saw her on the Skype. She was cute as heck. I'm assuming that's the one you meant, Darren. You've got so many of them. So let me show... Okay, so let's talk about how to buy vintage clothes. Because this is something that I had to give a lot of thought to. And I thought, if I've given a lot of thought to it, maybe I can be of use to other people. Okay? So let me give you my... I'm going to get full-blown autism here. Full-blown. Okay, get the chart ready. I'm blowing up the chart. So I do not... Oh, the book news is I'm going to be on Ruben. Okay. I do not dress particularly well, but I dress in a specific way. And one of the things I learned in terms of clothes, how far have you gone with hipster shaving? Oh, Alex, we are down a rabbit hole. That's going to be my next one. I've gotten like 50 samples coming. It's a situation. Oof. It's bad. We're going down that road. Anyway, my approach to dressing and to anything, to writing, it's the same thing with writing. If you have a series of rules, again, I told you it's full autism, and you follow those rules, at the very least, your output will be coherent, consistent, and defensible. Before I started being a writer, I remember Ayn Rand, when she would talk about writing, and she would say that she can defend every comma in Atlas Shrugged. And I thought, well, that's just arrogant. And I'm like, wait a minute. Now, every comma's there because she put it there. There's nothing in her book that just fell in. You're the author. It's all there for some reason that you put in there. It doesn't make sense. Of course, you should be able, every author should be able to defend any comma. Even if, let's suppose you looked at it and go, you know what, that was a mistake. I could delete it. But you should still have a reason why it was there to begin with. Like how it got there, you pressed the keyboard. So, oh, you don't got to get me started on Sterling Soap. I'm getting like 10 samples from them. That's a whole other live stream. That sweater makes you look like a pedophile. It's the light blue and white. I love you, Daddy. Are you hitting on me? I don't think the sweater looks, well, it's got that 1950s look, which is what I'm going for. Anyway, so you don't see short, so let me talk about Joe Biden's sweater. I got permission. So, what was I saying? Getting dressed. So, when I was on Gavin McIngus's show, I think like the first or second time, I wore one of my vintage sweaters. And I asked him, Gavin had created street boners for Vice. And he invented hipsters. That's one of his claims to fame. And I said, okay, would you agree, Gavin McIngus, that this is the platonic ideal of vintage sweaters? It's not the one I'm wearing now. And he looked it over, and you know Gavin. Gavin is very quick to be like, you're a fucking idiot, you know what you're talking about. And he said yes. Okay, so right away, if I got the seal of approval from the creator of Street Boners and Hipsters, I was on the right track. So that's what gives me an opportunity to pontificate on this issue, number one. Number two is, even if I'm full of shit and nothing I say makes sense, at the very least, hopefully, and this applies to everything I do, it's thought-provoking. Because to me, getting competent at something is looking at somebody else, often, identifying a mistake, or no, I don't agree with that, but now you consciously know what to avoid. And that puts you in a different position. So, vintage clothing, I think, is very hard to pull off. Because there's different kinds of ways that you're going for. For me, the ideal of something that is vintage is it has to look immediately as something from another era. At the same time, it can't look like a costume. And that's really hard to balance off. Like, for example, I saw this great suit from the 1940s. And it looked awesome. But it had these gigantic lapels. Like, they were gigantic. So if I'm wearing it, I look like I'm in a movie. Like a 1940s movie. And the further back you go, the more costumey things tend to look and the harder it is to pull off. That's why it's a lot easier to dress like 80s. Because, like, okay, you got an 80s sweater on or an 80s jeans. As opposed to 20s. Like, I have a vintage suit. I only have one. And the pants are like balloons. They're just absolutely, I've never seen, it's like even worse than MC Hammer. So I had to get the pants tailored in, but I still don't love it. So one of the things is it has to be in its cut something that is somewhat contemporary. So it's got to look something you can see now, and that's very, very hard to do. For women, I think it's even harder. Or it could be harder or it could be easier. It's easier because if a woman's going, like, all the fucking chicks who do that rockabilly look, who think Betty Page is the only hot woman who ever lived, who've got the bangs, they've got that dress with the tight waist, it's all the same silhouette, it always looks very specific. You're a rockabilly chick, I fucking get it. At the same time, that look is something we all know, so it's easy to wear because it's like, okay, I get what she's going for. A lot of times you're getting for something, if it's better to, in my opinion, to go crazier than halfway there, because otherwise it just looks old. Whereas if it's looking, okay, 70s, okay, 80s, then people appreciate it because immediately they know what it is that you're doing, as opposed to it looking like a mistake or something that's been in your closet for a long time. Like, for example, another thing is the material. A lot of these old materials look like shit. Like, there's all these if you go on Etsy and you look up these disco shirts, they are absolutely awesome in their patterns, but they've made that from that polyester. So it looks really, really cheap and really, really shitty. The other thing is, and this is something that people do not seem to understand. They just do not seem to understand this at all. Like, let's take restaurants. If I'm suggesting restaurants to someone, a friend of mine, I'm not saying I would like it. I'm saying you would probably like it based on your tastes. So if I can wear something, that doesn't mean that you can wear it or vice versa. I'm just saying find something that works for you and your personality. And something that, another one I started getting, and this is something that no one has brought back yet, and I'm shocked, are those old Letterman sweaters with the big numbers on the front. The sweater is the same shape as a sweater you get in the store now, but it's clearly from another era, and it's clearly identifiable what it is. It's not like, what the fuck are you wearing? It's like, oh, that's what you're wearing. You've got that Archie Andrews look. So that's something I've got my eye on, a few of those, like I want something from the 1910s from like Yale or Harvard or whatever to wear. So there's also a few companies that make like vintage style, and I think that's kind of cheating. But this sweater I'm wearing here, let me show you a little bit. It's from a company called Groove and High from Japan. The originals of this kind of sweater are $600. And when you buy the original, they're going to be dingy. They're going to be gross. This one was not that cheap, but it's certainly a lot cheaper than $600. So a lot of it is just just look at it, pretend that it has no color, and be like, would I wear something with that shape now? Or ask for somebody's opinion. So those are kind of my rules. And if you follow all those 3 rules, which is, I would say, identifiable immediately as an era, contemporary, broadly speaking, silhouette, and also quality. Like, if they're damaged and beat up, that's like a non-starter. They get dingy very, very easily. It's a real situation. So those are kind of my rules. And the other thing is, it's really easy to wear vintage clothes if it's not a whole look. So if you have like one really cool pair of shoes, or a pair of pants, or a tie, again, a lot of those old materials are cheap as hell and they look cheap and terrible. Have you tried Korean soju? We used to drink it while in the RB. Also in Korea, yeah, for $200. Well, Jack, I got my North Korean suit handmade in North Korea for a lot cheaper than $200. And I did try soju. I'm not particularly a fan. I'm not particularly a drinker, as you guys know. The only times I get drunk is when I'm on camera. So there's that. But I have tried it. It's pretty. It's neither here nor there. I think it's a nice drink. The other thing with these old sweaters, if you guys look up Groove and High, you probably haven't heard of it. It's like my new favorite brand. They have brought back all these old sweaters from the 50s, and they're all like a little racist, but just very, very subtly. And it's clearly from another era, but it's also, okay, this guy's going for a specific look. So those are my thoughts on that. Neither here nor there. It would just be good to I wanted to kind of spell it out for myself, because I think it's very useful when you're a collector of anything and have autism, to have a certain amount of like a process of like, okay, what is the good one and what's the bad one, and how do I figure out which is which, and vice versa. And again, if I'm wrong, that's perfectly fine, but have a process in place. And I think that's just very helpful in anything in general. As you guys saw, maybe some of you saw on Twitter, when I was in LA, my friend Cole, who I was staying with, he's like, okay, I'm like, hey, do you have any shaving cream? And he goes, you can get the hipster jokes ready now. And he pulled out this whole shaving kit. and there's this shaving thing in a tube, in like a cup, and he's got the brush. So there's this whole world of wet shaving, which I'm going down now, and there's a lot of shit coming in the mail. So that's gonna be a whole episode with like trying out all those new things. Because to me, it's also fun when you have when something becomes a ritual. Like my friend used to be a big heroin addict, and the point they made is part of it was the ritual that was fun. Same with smokers, right? It's the whole ritual of the cigarette. It kind of adds to your enjoyment. So to have shaving instead of being a chore be kind of a fun ritual, that's something I'm going to look forward to in the near future. I didn't really have that much else to talk about. I hope you guys all watched Louis J. Gomez's special. I was there when he filmed it. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. It was very cool that it hit #1 this week on iTunes, just like Dave did, Dave Smith. So it's just great. I really recommend it. I really enjoyed watching it. It's also really funny when you're friends with someone and you see how talented they are. It's just like, holy shit, you're really, really good. Shaving butter and a safety razor were a nice change for me. Yeah, I haven't started experimenting with razors yet, so I'm just going with the brush and the creams, the soaps, excuse me. And there's a lot of different kinds, a lot of different bases used for them. Like one of them, it's going to be with menthol. Some are beef tallow, lamb tallow, vegetable base. So it's going to be fun to see what's going to happen. And hopefully I don't butcher myself too badly with all this stuff. But it's something I'm going to look forward to kind of exploring in the weeks to come. And this stuff's cheap and it lasts forever. So like you buy this puck, which is like $15, and it's going to last you like 5 months. So, you know, that's where we are with that. What else can we talk about? I'm booked on You're Welcome through like June at this point. I think it's really, really going well. I'm really pleased with the show. And oh, by the way, so my producer Nate, I had all these ideas, and how he's new on the show, so you know, you never know who you're working with. And I don't know much about, like Judge Judy, about the computer, so I had all these ideas, and YouTube said the super chat is free. So here you go. Well, thank you, William. Thank you. That's weird. It turns out he knows how to do all this animation. So one of the things we started doing is, and this is totally me nerding out, and that's totally fine. If you read Green Lantern comics, and I'll tell you guys on this, because whenever I do something, I'll explain it once, and never again, so the people who are following along will know the Easter eggs, and everyone else will be confused, and if anyone explains it, they get deleted or blocked. And that's, for me, part of fun of following a show over the years. You get to learn where all the jokes came from and all things like that. So if you read Green Lantern comics, they have something called the emotional spectrum, right? So Green Lantern is historically the famous character. So the green is will, and then they released 6 other lanterns. Red is rage, yellow is fear, and like blue is compassion. Let me know when you're ready to try out a straight razor. I'm scared. I'm scared to do that. I think I'm going to experiment. I don't want to have too many variables. So that's the issue. So what we're going to start doing is, first of all, it's really great now that more of you are subscribers, so you're in the chat when I'm doing these episodes, although the next 3 episodes are in the bank already. That's really fun. But I'm going to chat, like when I've got the computer in front of me and during the episode, another free super chat. Thank you, Joe. I'm going to press a button with the letter, like R, Roji Biv, and the color around me is going to change to match what emotion I'm feeling. Merker Safety Razors. Love your do's or don'ts. Thank you, Sean. Thoughts on interviewing Aaron Mate? I don't know who he is. Who's Aaron Mate? Let's find out. Oh, from The Nation? Oh, God. Let's see. Do I know him? Oh, he's in Brooklyn, at least. Let's find out. Let's see if he follows me. Oh, Mate, excuse me. Ugh, I don't like that. He seems like an interesting leftist. I love those. Those are kind of my favorite people. That's definitely a good suggestion. Um, when you first use a straight razor, you'll never go back. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, Bradley, thank you. That the other just pre-ordered your new book. Did they let you update it at all? Are you worried about leaving out recent developments? I can be glad to tell you that was a concern, right? Is the book going to be contemporary? And my editor was very heavy on having the last chapter be me making predictions. And I'm like, I'm like, this is Trump's America. You can't predict things a week from now. Like, it's going to go to bed in May. It comes out it goes to bed in December. It comes out in May. I'm going to look like an asshole immediately. And then that's retroactively going to discredit the whole book. So I just finished doing the audiobook last week. There's nothing in there that's outdated, and it's perfectly contemporary. So I am really glad that happened. For example, it talks about Milo to some extent. You don't need to know what happened to Milo between why he got, all that shit that happened to him and now. That's not really relevant to the story of the book. So, what was I saying? Yeah, okay. So Aaron Mate, let me add him to the list right now. That's a good suggestion. I'm gonna do that right now. Thank you. You guys really have you guys really have good ideas, and you introduced me to like interesting people. By the way, the Will episode, Aaron Mate, the Will episode this week is doing very well, and it's got like the most comments of any episode in a very long time. So I was surprised by a lot of the things he was saying. But I thought he was really, really great. The other reason I'm not going to a straight edge razor is because Tom Woods got me my Harry's razor as a gift, and it's engraved. So that's why I've been kind of dragging up on that. Yeah, so what else did I want to talk about? Yeah, it was also really funny because at one point they changed the color to red as if I was angry, and I'm like, no, I'm being willful. That's green. So that's a thing that happened there. So what I was saying is Nate, who's the new producer, he knows how to do animation. So all my I'm trying to make the show as annoying as possible. Like, that's what I enjoy, like, when it's annoying. So all my little catchphrases, like, checkmate, we're going to have an animation of a king in chess getting knocked over. Case closed, we're going to have a gavel hitting the whatever. And I really am inspired by, what do you call it? Those Thug Life videos, right? You know that Thug Life video with Gavin and that chick, and it's just like, it just pauses and like the sunglasses go down. I think that'd be really funny on You're Welcome, just to pause the screen black and white when I get a sick burn on someone and just have the glasses come down on them, or hashtag wrecked. Whatever is just, to me, whatever it's like so stupidly obnoxious and intentionally so, that is a lot of fun. Get CJ Ramone on You're Welcome. Oh, second basis of the Ramones. That is a great idea. I will add that to the list. I gotta tell you, the Dick Manitoba episode did not do good numbers-wise, even though to me it was a huge thrill and a huge treat. I also want to get Mark Kastabi on. I just watched the documentary about him, and I think he's on the spectrum, and in fact they used that word during the movie as well. Excuse me. Mate is excellent on Russiagate, and given his dad escaping Hungary. Oh, that's a great point. We both have similar backgrounds then. Okay. I like talking to unorthodox leftists like Michael Tracy. I wonder when Mate's yeah, that's gonna be a good one. My favorite moment from the Dick Manitoba episode, like I this is one of my favorite moments of like all my shows, is when he talks about he's doing heroin at CB's, and he was so gross that he drew the needle from the water in the toilet. And I asked him, why didn't you just take it from the toilet tank? And he just stared at me, and it was clear that in 40 years, it never crossed his mind. So, yeah, that was just a blank stare. Was so So fun. What's interesting also is that Nick Searcy, who I interviewed today, he's also a big Andy Kaufman fan. I was very surprised to hear that, and it was really, really, really cool. And enjoyed talking to him about that. And this Tuesday we have Titania McGrath, which is, oh, I cannot wait. It was so good. Please bring David Cole. Isn't David Cole the big Holocaust denier guy? Let me see. I thought that was his claim to fame. No, that's the guy. Wait, hold on. Yeah, it's not happening. I don't have the freedom to have whoever I want on You're Welcome because I'm on a network with sponsors. Yeah, so it's not happening. Especially because I don't think it's that interesting to me. We're gonna have a good. We have some good people in that vein coming up. So that is gonna be. Yeah, this sweater this is the first time I'm actually wearing it because it's been cold here in New York. Will made it sound like Canadians are thrown in jail for thought crimes. Not true. We joke around and talk pretty freely here, at least in Toronto. I think what he was referring to is there's a lot of news, and maybe this is just clickbait, the idea that kids, the headlines, kids can be taken from their parents if they're misgendering. And actually, there was an example of this which really bothered me. Because there was a bill passed in California that said, like, misgendering elder people, you're going to get sent in jail, blah, blah, and everyone's freaking out. And if you look at the actual bill and the article, what it said is, if your job is like a nurse and you're taking care of an elderly person who's transgender, if you consistently misgender them, you're going to have legal problems. And it's like, yeah, that's the one case where this old person can't walk and you're fucking with them. This is not the same as, you know, going at someone on Twitter at all. This is someone who's like basically a prisoner to your care, and this is a professional situation. So that's very, very different. Yeah. So earlier today, I tried my pre-workout, my Ghost pre-workout, even though today is my rest day, and all that happened is I just kept firing off tweets at AOC. Why do some libertarians loathe Rothbard? Gee, someone should write a book about that. So that's all covered in the new right. Rothbard is a major character. Well, this is just getting. This is just. It's very weird. Steve Horowitz, yeah. Is my screen frozen? No, I was just sitting there like that. What else did I want to talk about? Oh my God. This is what really drove me crazy. If you went on Twitter's like top articles, it referred to Trump tweeting out a doctored video of Joe Biden. What the fuck? Doctored implies it's trying to pass as legitimate. This video had Joe Biden smelling himself. It's clearly not real. He's not in two places at once. It was absolutely insane. So for them to be like, oh, he was doctored, and they said that also on what do you call it? The New York Times. These people are out of their minds. And it was really funny because Dankula tweets out, he goes, no, I was doctored. I did that with full hatred and at Michael Malice. It was like, are you guys just boomers? And I haven't seen if the NPCs have picked up on that and tried to like throw that in Trump's face. I wouldn't be surprised if they have. But it is, I'm shocked that so many people who are so smart on the left are incapable of learning. I don't have any explanation for it. because there are a lot of very, very bright people on the left. I don't think this works for them, and yet they're still doing the same thing. It's absolutely baffling to me. And first of all, it's baffling that they'd say these things with a straight face, but that they would keep doubling down. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, and I'm not surprised that people like Michael Tracy and his victory laps, Glenn Greenwald and his victory laps. I mean, these are hardcore lefties, and they're just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And the point I've made many times is, even if Trump's literally Hitler, even if he's Hitler, that does not mean he's colluding. Just because Trump is bad, colluding with Russia is bad, therefore Trump is colluding with Russia. It's just like, that is your thinking? Who is the libertarian that divides/inspires the most love and hate from libertarians? It's got to be Rothbard. I would say Rand is more universally liked than Rothbard. It's got to be Rothbard. I can't even think who would be. And Rand is number 2. I don't even know who number 3 would be. Who would be number 3? Maybe like William Weld? I don't know who else. I mean, it could be someone who people don't consider libertarian, so he'd be hated. It's like William Weld. I mean, but he's not a libertarian anymore. He's back to the... I don't think he was... Even when he was a member of the Libertarian Party, I don't think most people would think of him as a libertarian, per se. Yeah, the hatred for Rothbard is... It's really interesting, because Rand was much more antagonistic toward libertarians and libertarianism than Rothbard was. And yet he gets a lot more hate for it. Thank you, Will. I've never seen anyone talk shit about Mises, the person. Who hates Rothbard? What am I missing? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? There's a whole cottage industry of, I would say, the moderate libertarians who think he's a Klansman. I mean, if you look up Rothbard on Twitter, just do a search for Rothbard. Do Rothbard, Duke. They all think he's a Klansman, even though he's Jewish. And I talk about why in the book. I mean, they're not basic. The thing what the left does, and I'm using the word left here in a very specific context. The thing what the left does is they'll take something that is factual and is reasonable, and then they'll extrapolate from it. So it's Mott and Bailey is the technique. So basically you say, okay, the C4, it's not just the C4SS people. It's there's some people at Reason, Cato, Rothbard, toward the end of his life, was palling around with Pat Buchanan, was attacking David Duke's critics. So you can see how people be like, why is your priority to not defend David Duke, although it gets perverted to that? Why is that your priority, attacking David Duke's critics? And you can understand that. It's the same thing when people are, well, I mean, you understand where this is coming from. So, and it's, to me, one of the great things that was great. I enjoyed having Tom Woods and Matt Welch on the show, because I think this kind of stupid divide between those two groups is, in contemporary times, unnecessary. Back in the day, it was a lot more heated because Rothbard left Cato. He left Cato on very personal terms, very aggressive terms. So I can see how back then there's going to be this big rift between Cato and Mises, like just on a personal level. I get it, but now it's I don't think there's any room for that. So yeah. Ooh, good times. It was also fun. God, the sweater is so fun. I'm so glad I have it. But you know what else is funny to me? I'm sure you guys have seen that AOC stuff, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, her doing that black accent in front of that crowd, and now she's backpedaling and flipping out on Twitter and having kind of a meltdown, which is hilarious. Where was I going with this? I have no idea. I have no idea where I was going with this. Oh, no, it's gone. Oh, well, it's a good time. Good, good times. Good times. Does anyone have any fun? I'm open now. 40 minutes already. Jesus. Oh, Assange. I gotta talk to Cassandra about that. I mean, she's been very distraught. She's the most pro Assange person I know. She's got contact with him. By the way, and I want to thank you all. I asked Assange's mom. She followed me back on Twitter, per your guys' suggestion, and I asked her for an interview. She said she's not doing any interviews anymore. So, FYI, I did try, and she was receptive to hearing me out, but she's not doing it. So that's fine. AOC is basically what happens when Jezebel elects a congresswoman. It's really out. That's really what it is. And nothing more to it. So it's really, really funny. I am having Ross Ulbricht's mom in June. I also talked to Assange's mom. I did both, per your suggestions. So, yeah, I was the one who was talking about Assange on Rogan, as some of you might remember. The other thing with AOC is if you're going to be all cute and glib, which I'm all for, Lord knows that, and like Joe Lieberman is going to be, talking shit on you, and you're going to jump back at him with like new party who dis, you can't be pissed when people use those fucking tactics on you. You're not that cute. You're not that clever. Thank you for your hard work with North Korea. Have you been keeping up with the Trump-North Korea relations? I mean, of course I have. I've been keeping up very, very heavily with it. And in fact, one of the reasons my Twitter, I have to kind of bite my tongue sometimes now, is because Junior follows me on Twitter. And to me, by far, the most important issue is North Korea. So I'm not going to do anything that's going to fuck up my chances of having the right ears hear what I have to say. I mean, it's really the most important issue that there is. So, and I've been following it, of course, very, very closely. Whew. If anyone has any, God, this monster's so good. It's because I'm tweaking already from the pre-workout. Yeah. I can't wait for those debates. They're only like 2 or 3 months off. It's going to be absolutely insane. It's going to be absolutely hilarious. Let me check something quick. Oh, hold on a second. All right. Yeah, Tom's going to be in town. Thoughts on interviewing Lynn Ulbricht? Yeah, she's going to be on the show in June because of you guys. So you guys requested it. She jumped on here on the live stream last time, and we followed each other. She's going to be in New York in June. So I very, very much want to do in person and avoid Skype if at all possible. And that is probably going to be my most intense interview ever, because I've been thinking about it beforehand, and it's going to be... I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to be that woman and know her son every moment is in jail. And that letter he just wrote, I don't know, if you go to my Twitter, you could see I retweeted it, that her son wrote, Ross, from jail. It gets you right in the feels. It gets you right in the feels. It's just, I mean, what a great woman, she's just tireless in terms of advocating for him and pushing for him. So I admire her so much. Wait, are you done with the vintage talk? I want more. Where do you get your vintage stuff? All online? Do you thrift? Great question, Nicole. Okay. In my opinion, thrift stores are a waste of time. Because the cost benefit, like with any collectibles, it's like with aquariums, if you go to your local store, you're not going to find the cool shit. With CDs, like I'm a real hipster. So going to thrift stores is going to be, the cost benefit is going to be very, very low. Unless you have like a really good, like, connoisseur store in your area, which New York doesn't even really have that many. So I spent a lot of time on eBay, and like this sweater's from Japan. Like I went down, you have to put in the work. eBay and Etsy are the two biggest ones, and what happens is when you'll find that one vendor who specializes in this stuff and you follow them, they're going to be delivering a lot of what do you call it? You keep watching them. because they're going to be delivering because they're the ones who are basically doing your job for you and picking out the great stuff. Oh, it's Dave. Hey, what's going on, Dave? Yeah. So good seeing you. It's tough. I don't. The thing is also with vintage clothes, you only want to have like 3 or 4. I have a lot more than that, but some of them are really really crazy. But it's taken me years to find them because it's you really have to hit that sweet spot. It's very 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 hard. Um, and the thing is, thrift stores. Just finished listening to the Machiavellians and a Regnate History of the United States. Any recommendation for books about the progressive movement and its influence today? Yeah. I'm not being Turner. I'm not being sarcastic at all. That is literally kind of the premise of my book. So that is really the best one. Um, yeah, thrift stores. I mean, it's what thrift stores used to be for are poor people who are artists, right? That's why hipsters wear old clothes because that's what they could afford. And now they're just picked over. There's a lot of 90s shit. You want like the real like old like 50s, 40s, specific 80s kind of thing. Yeah, it's there's Briar Vintage in Philadelphia is one. Relic Vintage in San Fran. I haven't been to it, but they've got a lot of repro stuff. There's 2 or 3 on Etsy, which are just great. And here's how to find out what the good ones are. Go to Etsy, look for vintage dress or vintage sweater, sort it by price, and look for the expensive ones. And those expensive ones, you'll see the name pop up a lot. That's the store you want to follow. And I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be exorbitant. There are some that are exorbitant, and it's not worth it. But paying like $100 for a vintage whatever, it's a lot of money compared to a regular sweater. Not that much more, and it will very much make a look. So, yeah. I also feel like it's going to be a lot harder for women because the fit is going to be a lot different, especially over time. And you have to measure and you have to try it on. There was this store in Manhattan on West 23rd, and I don't remember the name of the store. It was awesome. And it had this dress in the window from like the 40s, and it was like amazing. Oh, hold on. I'm going to get to that German candidate in another live stream, of course. Are thumb holes acceptable in men's long sleeves? 100%. 100% acceptable. In fact, encouraged. I think they're awesome. I have a jacket which has thumb holes. So the dress was in this, and it was like amazing. I told my friend, you got to try this on. But it was like the waist is like no one's has that waist now. It's just absolutely crazy. But the dress and the girl in the store is like, yeah, no one can fit into this. We have it in the window because it looks so cool. But one of the girls here is a size 0. It's too big for her. So it's just I guess maybe they're corsets. I don't know what it was. So I think it'd be a lot harder on women. The other thing is like this: short sleeve sweaters. No one wears them. But everyone, if you look at it, you know exactly what it is, and you also know it's from another era. So it's like, okay, cool. I'm really pleased with this. I gotta say, they've got a bunch coming out that looked really really cool. From this line. There's one guy in America who sells it. So the thing with the high waist trousers is you got to have that flat stomach, otherwise you look crazy. It's a tough look to pull off. I think it's a lot easier for women. Like, what was her name? Like, I think Rihanna was wearing high waisted trousers. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's also, I feel like this sweater is the kind of thing that'll be like 1 week in the year I'll be able to wear it. Otherwise, it's too hot or too cold. Or maybe I could wear it to a party, whatever. But it's also, it's really, really fun to wear like history. You ever hear back from Cody Wilson on his status? I have not. I haven't reached out to him. I read his book though, and it was pretty decent. There's something really fun about wearing like old clothing, but I'm an 80s guy, so a lot of my stuff is 80s. I mean, it would be really hard to get a 50 sweater because it'll look old, like dingy. That's really tough. Tough to wear. If anyone has any other, I don't even need guest suggestions at this point because we're so booked up. I might have to do. I mean, part of me wants to do the show. This is a reproduction. The originals would have been $600, $650. They go on eBay. It's crazy shit. I don't even know why. And it's and it looks better than the old stuff. It's still clearly look old timey. Yet, if anyone has any, I guess a few little cufflinks. That's a great question. That is a great question. So I wear lapel pins, as you guys know. I also do. I'll have the paired lapel pins, which no one else does, because that kind of replicates cufflinks. I think cufflinks are really, and I'm sure Dave agrees with me, a really, really easy way to take you from being an accountant to being someone with a personality. The thing when I'm on Fox or any of these other shows is everyone's dressed like an accountant. And I'm like, you're on television. Get a pocket square. Get a patterned shirt, tie, something, anything. I get it, like you have to have your suits for work, which I don't have to do, but there's so many opportunities for you to have a splash of personality, and they don't do it. It's so weird to me and stupid to me. It's like a woman not wearing makeup. It's like you have this opportunity to stand out. Do it. So it's very weird. It's very weird. Oh, I can't wait to be back on that show. It's going to be so much fun. I had a good time in LA. Like, this is probably my best LA trip in a while. Two birds with one stone. If you still want to do a small town tour, Louisville has the best vintage clothing thrifting I've ever encountered. Oh, okay. The problem with LA, I went to a bunch of their vintage stores, is it's a lot of old t-shirts, which I don't really like. I'm not a t-shirt person in general. And I think vintage sweaters for me are the easiest to pull off because the fit's going to be contemporary. And it's fun. Those Bill Cosby sweaters, those Coogie sweaters, they go for like $250 now. I guess because all the rappers wear them. I hate them. I hated them then, and I hate them now. Because it's so clearly a Cosby sweater as opposed to an 80s sweater. Yeah, it's a thing. I want to know what you guys thought about the Will Chamberlain episode and how it went back and forth and if it changed your minds about anything. I thought he made a lot of good points, and some not so good. A lot of bad points. That's funny. I can't speak on watches because my wrists are too thin. Okay. Art Tavanna would be an interesting guess. I love you more, Brad. Let me see who Art Tavanna is. What was the thing you most disagreed with Will on? The thing I most disagreed with him on is... Oh, I mean, the idea of... Oh, he likes Camille Paglia. I think anyone who thinks of something like a monopoly is a thing, and you're starting from there, that I disagree with him, I think, the most. Would be a very low-hanging fruit that I disagree with. Also, the idea that, like, well, he wants to go back to the 90s. I'm like, well, I want to go back to the 90s, the 1890s. So It was, although I did appreciate him basically saying, I don't care if this fucks up Twitter's business model because Twitter's fucking up my political model. That to me was very, very awesome. That was fair and telling. Let me check one more thing quick. A second, guys. 1 second. Sorry. 1 second. All right. Sorry, I'm back. He has become the thing he's trying to defeat. Yeah, oh, the same question 3 times? Oh, dude, we're taking that to the next level, Luke. We're taking that to the next level. Trust me, in the next upcoming episodes. Sean, Psycho, I don't automatic watches. Japanese small. I'm not a watch person, and I feel like if I get 1 watch, I'm going to get 50 within a week. Let me look those up, though. Seiko, excuse me. I know how to pronounce it. Yeah, I don't like these. I don't like these at all. I feel like also if I'm someone who's got... Also remind me of Tom Wood's episode on this piece on conservatism from TAC and what it would take to... Oh, here's the piece. They're American conservative. The thing I didn't understand about Will is I feel like he's pretty red pilled to begin with. So that's why I was confused that he was, like, in some ways not. I think he's very, very bright. And I also like anyone who can hold their own with me. Like, total respect for me. He's a good dude. We had a good lunch afterwards. Yeah, I think anyone... Well, you'll see in the book about red pilling and how I... define it. God, it's only been a month away. It's been so long getting this baby out of me. Good Lord. Good Lord. Yeah. All right. I am going to Artavana. Let me see if he followed. Wait, I'm sorry. I forgot you guys suggested him. He doesn't follow me, so. Oh, by the way, good Lord. The one tweet I regret is when I asked if anyone has a song that moves them. I've been getting responses for days. My mentions are completely out of control, and I'm missing all these good responses. So I'm sorry if I didn't see something someone said, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy the reaction I got to that. It was just a throwaway question, and it's just like completely nuts as a consequence. I'm not sure if you read manga. Oh, no. No. I do not like that shit at all. I hate it. How many hours is the audiobook track? I have no idea. I have no idea. Yo, I hate manga. I hate everything about it. How long is a typical audiobook? I've never listened to an audiobook. I don't know how long a typical audiobook is. I'm reading Andy Kaufman's unpublished novel right now, and it's basically just the manuscript for it, and it's not 12 hours? Okay. That seems reasonable. Oof. I've been hanging up, if you guys look at my Instagram, I've been getting frames for all my original comic book art, which I'm going to start hanging around the house. Kumiya's book was short, though. Mine's a lot longer than his. His book was quite short. So yeah, okay, 12 to 15. I gotta follow up with Rogan too about getting on his show when I'm in LA. All right, I am going to go do. I'm reading Elephant in the Brain. I'm really enjoying it so far. Jeffrey Miller was supposed to do my show at some point. I got to get him back. I'm gonna follow up with him to get him on. I think he's absolutely terrific. Primal Polly on Twitter. If you guys don't follow him already, it was excruciating recording it, but I'm very, very glad I did. I think it would be unconscionable if someone else read it because it's in the first person. And they wouldn't, and if enough of you watch or listen to me enough that you know my cadence and how I land my jokes, it would be terrible. It's going to be fun holding it. It's going to be really fun. All right, guys, I will talk to you. I don't know. Let me see. Did the idiots respond about next week? Okay, no, they haven't. Maybe they have lives, unlike me. I will talk to y'all soon. Hope this was not too boring. Yeah, this is the next Titania on Tuesday. We got a week of Nightshade and then a week off. I will see you all later. Yeah, I don't really have a sign off. Oh, Dave, me and Will went to lunch after, and we talked about that at length. It's not my story to tell, but it made me very, very sad. I find it disturbing when people can't get along because of politics. That's so. I mean, that's such a function of totalitarianism and fundamentalism. So, oof. All right. I am going to talk to you all soon. Hope you all had fun. And I'll see you on Twitter. And now I got to find out who got eliminated this week on Drag Race.